absentee ballot this year. In this week's Know the Law segment, attorney Tom Sinas here to tell us exactly how the new law works, Tom.
I didn't know we were in the middle of an election.
You would think we'd hear something about a debate or something, but nothing so far, right?
I hear it's happening.
Sarcasm, of course, it's everywhere.
It's everywhere. All right, and what's happening this year is really the first time we're going to get to test drive a law that was passed by voter proposition approval back in 2018. Okay, think back to that election. We had a few proposals at that time. One of them was called Proposition 3, and it dealt with a few things regarding voting. And one of the things that Proposition 3 decided by vote of the voters was that people could vote absentee for no reason. Right? We used to have a system in Michigan where to vote absentee you had to have some reason why you weren't able to go to the polls.
I work at that time, I'm out of town.
Exactly. So we had an absentee ballot system, but it was one where you had to have a reason, and now you don't have to have a reason, and that brings us in line with a number of states around the country. And the reason I say we're sort of test driving this is because, well, we kind of had an election in 2019, but I don't think there was a lot of turnout for that. So this is obviously a presidential year, and so there'll be a lot of people using this new system for the first time. So I thought, well, we got this primary coming up, and maybe the blessing for that is that people get to kind of interact with this new system before they go to the polls in November, right? So I think maybe the most practical takeaway here is you got to maybe decide how you want to vote. Do you want to vote in person or do you want to vote absentee? Because if you want to vote absentee, you don't need a reason, but you do have deadlines.
Right, you can't say the day before, I want to go absentee.
Exactly, it's a little tricky. So a couple deadlines to keep in mind. If you are requesting to vote absentee by mail, that request has got to be in the Friday before the election day. If you don't get it in time by mail that way, you can go in person to your clerk's office and you can request an absentee ballot the day before the election. So you got to make that request in person. Well, what do you do when you get one of these absentee ballots, right? You can't just throw it away. I mean, you can, it won't get counted. You got to make sure you turn it in. And it's got to be turned in by 8 o'clock on the night of election day, right? Of course, the best practice here is if you're going to do this absentee ballot, just make the request now, make it early, get the ballot, get it to your house, return it, and move on with the rest of your life, you got to make your request in writing. We can't do one through a smartphone or anything like that. What about the primary? Well, the primary coming up here, we have in Michigan a single ballot primary system, meaning you've got to pick one party or another that you're going to vote for at the primary. This gets a little confusing because we also passed in 2018 a law about straight ticket voting, and we'll talk about that later, but that doesn't really apply so much in the primary because in the primary, you got to pick one side or the other as to who you're going to vote for.
Yeah, you can't go and vote on the most Republican and Democratic one.
That's right.
Where do people track you down, Tom?
They can find us online at www.sinusdramus.com. Shoot us an email at info@sinusdramus.com or give us a call, 616-301-3333.
Thanks, Tom.